Like, you know how many screaming feminists or like blue-haired weirdos I've seen in real life? Like,
Yeah.
none. But it feels like
Weird. It's almost like you guys made that out to be a huge deal when it's not based in reality. Kind of like just a couple of viral clips was all it took. And then all of a sudden you were like, yeah, so this is every social justice warrior. I feel like every single one of them is like this. They just scream and whine about safe spaces. I know this is not all of your favorite segment, but this one's going to be good. I found something, y'all. Don't you like when I find secrets? When I reveal secrets to you all? Secrets the internet doesn't want revealed yet? I feel bad doing this because both Sargon of Akkad and the Quartering have kind of been in my mentions lately. I was going back and forth a lot with the Quartering, and the only thing I don't like about doing that is it oftentimes has people buy into this narrative. Like, I don't really focus on any one specific ghoul for too long. We kind of jump around them, but some of them, I mean, this is all reactive. Some of them will just keep pulling you back in with their just like shitty take after shitty take, horrible event after horrible event. And in the case of the Quartering, he's done this new arc where he's trying to basically rebrand himself completely. LOL, I've always been an ally. Just because I don't care about virtue signaling or making it my whole identity doesn't discount that. Your 4-year-old out of context clip doesn't prove otherwise. I've also learned and grown a lot in the past 4 years. Why haven't you? So he's an ally now. I don't know if you all know this. The Quartering, featured in Kotaku, Polygon, Game Revolutionist, Feminist, pronouns he, him, hashtag ally. This is satire. Nothing I post is true. Follow on Telegram. Now, where that might seem slightly conflicting, you know, the rebranding is real. There's that, right? He's actually being serious about the feminist and he, him pronouns. He's now using, and I re-quoted this by saying that, you know, literally yesterday, like the day before he posted this, he had posted this whole rant, like multiple posts on this about why someone who's now identifying as non-binary is faking it for clout. And that, like, that alone, by the way, misgendering them while they were also saying that, misgendering them multiple times. But anyways, you know, he's claiming to be an ally, yet at the same time, he does these kind of, I am the one true cis purity testing ability to decide who and who is not truly trans, not as if, like, that's something that any cis person ever gets to call, you know? Like, can I say that? Could that be my PSA to my fellow cis, to my sissies, to all my fellow sissies out there, all right? To everyone. You never get to tell a trans person, never. Like, ever. There's no situation you can do this, whether or not they're trans. That's not something you ever get to do. You don't. You never do. You can't say someone is faking it. You're not allowed. You're not allowed. I mean, even if you're thinking that, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. But like, of all the things to rip into, because you can rip into trans people if that individual trans person is a horrible person, no problem. Yeah, you absolutely can. Just don't go after them for their, like, the fact that they're trans, or accuse them of lying about that. Like, you never get to do this. Not once. You don't get to do it. That's just a rule. Okay. There's a handful of things we get in terms of privilege. So there you are. Yeah. Like Caitlyn Jenner. Absolutely. She's a horrible person who may have murdered someone. You know, you can say that. There you go. No problem, you know. Blair White is a trans medicalist who endangers trans people's lives. I can say that as a cis person. No problem. Yeah, and you should be vocal about that to the fellow cis out there if you want to consider yourselves allies. That's totally fine, you know. Even if you're queer, you're not able to say if someone is or is not trans. Yeah, but I said cis. I said cis. If you like, and yeah, I would say just in general, anyone is not able to do that. I mean, I think it would be very rude if, like, you know, trans people were telling other trans people you're not actually trans. It's kind of a weird kind of gatekeeping, but it's not my place whatsoever as a cis person to ever accuse someone of, like, unless they have said explicitly I'm not in fact trans. I like, either I have changed my mind or I was wrong or something like that. Unless they have said that, then that's not something you get to use in your arsenal, in your outrage like index. You know, that's not something you like. There are so many other things you can rip into someone for being. That doesn't have to be transphobic. It is transphobic. It absolutely is transphobic for a cis person to tell a trans person whether or not they are trans. 100%. If that is not one of the bars for something that is considered transphobic, then that word has lost all meaning. Okay? If you are not actively being a bigot and making someone's life harder, if you are not marginalizing a marginalized community, then what is the point? What is the point of this language at all? You know? Anyways, the quarterine is rebranding, which again seems strange. You know, he's the same person who is not obviously has gay black dads, and so he can't be racist, he can't be homophobic because he has multiple fathers. They're both gay, and now he's coming out and saying, "Look, my trans allies agree with me. All my trans friends agree with me that like you're not really helping the cause unless you are not faking it for the clout." Things like this. The reason all of this is disturbing, and it's a new level of dark, grifty, evil shit from the quartering of all people, is because A, he's lying, and B, he's now trying to co-opt language, movement, LGBTQ rights for profit, and to preserve his channel. That I'm not making this up. I will now demonstrate evidence that he is 100% doing this to sanitize his image for his YouTube channel and to help save it and keep it preserved. This is going to be a long clip. I'm going to put up a warning right now at the bottom because there will be transphobia and misgendering, intentional misgendering, and rapid fire misgendering. This was not a long time ago. All right. This was February 6, 2021. This is not years ago. Okay. This is not ages ago. But please be aware, yes, there will be transphobia and intentional rapid fire misgendering. And it's coming up right now. But then there will be a revelation of the grift.
That's the biggest fallacy about Twitter. Like, nobody's minds are changed on Twitter. They go on there for confirmation bias, and that's about it.
Yep.
Can't disagree with that point.
That is exactly how I view Twitter. It is like an addictive drug. And I mean, I do wonder about Twitter. In fact, the case of, do you know who Philosophy Tube is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been watching Philosophy Tube for years, right?
2 quick points. Is it TOS to put 2 assholes on the screen like this? True. I'm rolling the dice with this one. All right. These are 2 very sweaty assholes. And showing a sweaty asshole with sweat dripping down the side of the asshole, that is risky. That is risky. I am definitely risking having my channel taken down for showing 2 sweaty assholes. But hey, I'm gonna chance it. Okay. The credits on his Twitter profile that he's featured on is all due to the fact those people did hit pieces on him. Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. No, he's very bad at what he does. Like, he thinks he's clever, and a lot of his, like, I will agree, there's a handful of like his fans that have fallen for it, but like the majority of people know, like, he literally winks at the camera. He'll be like, yeah, that's why I have 2 gay black dads. Like, he'll like, he's not clever.
Right. And I've seen Philosophy Tube in live streams saying things like, well, I've never had gender dysphoria. I'm a cis straight white man, and he's handsome, privileged man, so it's very obvious he was comfortable in his gender. He looked comfortable in his gender. And then something, so he starts getting popular on Twitter, and then in 2020 he changed his mind, and now he's come out as trans. And you see the tweet with like 260,000 likes, and it's like, good God, man! Like, the largest stadium holds like 100,000 people, I think. Right. And so
smiling transphobic wizard over here, Jeremy the Quarterine, just having a gas, listening to Sargon of Akkad accusing Philosophy Tube, Abigail Thorne, accusing her, all right, of not truly being trans, of doing it because of fucking Twitter engagement. That's the conversation they're happening here.
It's like, right, so imagine like my city, the town I live in is 250,000 people. So if every single person in the entire town I live in was just basically cheering me on to do this one thing, I would probably end up thinking that was a good thing to do.
It's almost impossible to not do it. Man, imagine like Yeah, I mean, 50,000 people cheering you on to behead somebody in an arena or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So that really, really shitty gladiator joke that's being made there, again, is being made as if societal pressure, likes, engagement, that actually forced Abigail to transition. Like, the fucking clout. And this is not the first time they've done it. They've never done it, in my opinion, this brazenly, this disgustingly. And it is truly probably one of the worst things they've ever done, especially in regards to the LGBTQ plus community. I want to show this as an illustrative point, though, because it's going to be used directly before his, let's just say, admonition that he, in fact, is doing this whole rebranding as an ally, both as like what he thinks is a funny joke, like a fucking bit, and also for clout. Sorry, not for clout, for safety, to protect his channel.
There's just
You're going to do it.
You're gonna do it. Yeah. I mean, I just think that no, obviously we're not saying that's exactly why he did it, but it's plausible that this positive reinforcement is a powerful thing, and when you're talking about that,
I refuse to believe it's not a
which is just like such an unbelievably fucked up thing to say. I mean, he's clearly not familiar with any of her work, any of her prior work. If you'd ever seen some of the videos that she'd put forward, especially the videos about being like suicidal, about opening up about that, like I'm not even the biggest like philosophy tube like fan. Like I really enjoy her work. I think she does amazing videos, no question. But I'm not someone who's like what is it? Oh, Stan. You know, I'm not like obsessed with philosophy tube in the way some people are, and like deeply have formed this like really powerful let's say parasocial relationship with her. Well, at the same time, like I'm well aware of her story and the things that she said and the way that she's spoken about being like so sad or confused in her own skin, and the suicidal ideation that comes in like the Cosmonaut series as well is a really powerful one. Obviously, watch it if you're in a good headspace. That's pretty heavy. But like to take that and to flip it and to say that there was some kind of positive reinforcement or something else that came from Twitter, or there was this like for some reason in any way, shape, or form, some kind of a societal pressure that she felt, and that's why she transitioned. Like, here's the thing. And I say this about every single time one of these schools brings up an example like Elliot Page, for like talking about him, for example. Does their lives get better? Like, is it so much easier in terms of societal acceptance? And wouldn't it be such a beautiful thing if it didn't have to be like almost a spectacle when a celebrity does this? Like, if it was just normalized and it was just like not something that in your 30s or 40s, when you finally understood it and finally came to terms with it, you were finally able to talk about this openly, right? Yeah, like all of a sudden, there's so much pressure not to transition. Speaking of Elliot Page, did you see how happy he looked in his recent pool picture? No, I haven't. But I did see Elliot Page's interview with Oprah, for example, and like, you can't sit through that and tell me that like this is somehow easy, or it was easy for him. Like when you hear him and just hear like the way he talks about it and how difficult it's been, not to mention like in the case of Elliot Page, he got backlash from both the right, who said that like this kind of ghoulish shit, that it was all for like a grift, and people in the LGBTQ community who were actually like coming out and saying I'm sorry, more turfy style lesbians were saying things like that you know, we've lost a lesbian, we have one less lesbian, and now there's just another like man in the world, another like weird shit like that. Like, so I can't imagine what that kind of pressure would have been like for Elliot Page to deal with on top of everything else. Like, it's not as if this is suddenly like, you know, done in and all of a sudden your life is like immediately simpler. Like, coming out to your family isn't like one of the most dangerous things that people can do. They don't get kicked out of their houses. They don't get fired from their jobs. They certainly don't become homeless. You know, like trans people don't have to deal with all those things because of the way society reflects upon them, because of people like this and how they act.
opponent, right?
Yeah,
I refuse to believe, and I'm not saying that he hasn't at some point just been like, yeah, actually, I do feel like a woman. Maybe he has, and good for him. You know, if he's gone through it all, good for him.
Yeah,
I'm not making a judgment about it. What I'm saying is, I think that the intellectual environment in which you find yourself is essentially sort of inescapably changes you. You know, and so if the environment you're on is Twitter, where it's like, you know, fast gratification, instant reaction, and like universal, like either, you know, in favor of or against, then you end up getting a distorted view of reality. And I think this changes the way you do things.
Well, it's the same. We'll get to the Time article, but this is always a fact. I thought about here's a just that's between us girls here. Like I've started and I've thought about writing a book on just the paradigm or the two worlds.
You know what's funny? If anyone else had made that joke, I wouldn't even think twice about it. Like I would just go out about my day. The bar would have to be so ridiculous for me to be like, oh, fuck you. You know, like, but in this case, absolutely. Like, it's just because of the amount of misgendering that are going on in this segment alone.
Worlds that exist, in particular on Twitter and in reality, and just like they're not the same at all. Like, you know how many screaming feminists or like blue-haired weirdos I've seen in real life? Like, none. But it feels like
weird. It's almost like you guys made that out to be a huge deal when it's not based in reality. Kind of like just a couple of viral clips was all it took, and then all of a sudden you were like, yeah, so this is every social justice warrior. I feel like every single one of them is like this. They just scream and whine about safe spaces.
Like they're everywhere on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it feels like, you know, and it's like anybody, no matter how extreme their opinions are, can find a large group of people to reinforce that on Twitter. And that's what they're looking for. And I don't think it makes people better. I think it makes them far worse.
Absolutely. Like self-selection is the problem with, I mean, the internet generally, but social media has made it really, really easy to find people who agree with you. And that's nice when you're feeling lonely and you want reinforcement of the thing you believe. And I'm not saying there's no truth to the thing you believe or anything, but the thing is, generally there's a reason why fringe positions don't become dominant in real life, and it's because every single person has multiple different things pulling on them. You know, there's lots of pressures on you and demands being made of you. And so usually you have to give a bit to each one. And so you don't become a sort of polarized mono thinker. So you only think about this one thing all day, every day. But
Carlo, thank you.
Customize your living experience. If you're just sat at home on your phone, then if you do that for literally like 16 hours a day, which I think a lot of these Twitter leftists essentially do, especially when they're furloughed because of lockdowns and things. It means that you only hear the things that you want to hear, and they know that the algorithms are designed to reinforce that, because I mean, how else would you design an algorithm? It makes sense. You'd be like, well, if you're interested in this thing, maybe if I give you more of the thing you're interested in, you'll spend more time on my site,
right.
Which you will. But you know, it's a natural thing, but it's like, it's obviously turning them weird, and it makes them like, you know, zealots for things that are just baffling. Because I mean, like the very concept of like, you know, gender redefinitions, like who the hell else cares about this?
Nobody.
Like, around the world.
Yeah.
Like, exactly.
Yeah. Well, you have
that's definitely how you should treat marginalized communities or issues that pertain to marginalized communities. That's definitely how you should act about that too. Yeah, it's like, oh, it only affects about 10% of the population. Oh yeah, well, okay, well then obviously we shouldn't care about this at all. Yeah, no, fuck them. Fuck them. Hey, what? You know, black people only make up 13% of America? Well, yeah, then we shouldn't care about them. Fuck them. You know, fuck them.
But in the West, we look ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and this is the same. This is the same with how Twitter is how you end up with somebody turning their own fucking parents in for being at the Capitol. Like, there's no way that person didn't spend a copious amount of time on Twitter. There's just no, I refuse to believe it. And like,
they definitely did.
Yeah. And then you get CNN brings them on. You're a hero. Okay. Yeah.
Or it could be that like you had a family member who was part of the insurrection, and then you're like, oh shit, I have evidence in this case.
Now let's wait 3 years and see how you feel about that.
Could even be self-serving. Doesn't have to be super fucked up or like a revenge thing. Could 100% be just like, oh shit, I don't want to be in trouble now because like I by guilt by association here.
Decision. Or how about 3 months? You know, when your fucking family's in jail because you're an idiot.
Yeah, here's a maxim to live by. If CNN are calling you a hero, you've done something bad.
Yeah.
You've done something really bad.
Yeah.
You know, because your interests are not aligned with CNN's interests.
Well, and you're going to have
You've
to
hurt someone you love, you know.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
That's what this is.
Now, the big question, I've seen a big question in chat. In chat, I see your very generous super chats. I'll read those. We'll start the Time article, and then I'll read those, and I'll give Carl a break, and then we'll come back and keep going. But the big question is, have you spent what have you spent Akila's money on? Is it
setting up this business, actually? Setting up loads of these stuff. Like we've got so the way it works, we've got a journalistic team that write articles that are all really, really good, actually. Really, really pleased.
Not biased at all there, Carl, huh?
Not biased at all, but they are good. Right? They're objectively good. Yeah. And then obviously we've got the a small team that deals with the sort of infrastructure of running a website. So, you know, making sure things are published, making sure the videos are produced and stuff like this. And then there's myself and Callum, and who do the daily podcast.
I can't imagine how deeply unpleasant just the two of them hanging out together in a social scenario must be like. Like it must be horrifying. Don't you hate Vosh and Vadim, Sargon? I hate them both. Don't you hate Vosh? Vosh, isn't he a pedophile? Oh yes, no, certainly, he's certainly a pedophile. I would know too. I've asked heartily for the age of consent to be lowered. You know, I've even interviewed pedophiles live on my show, and yes, I'm well aware of what it takes to speak about such things. Yes, oh my.
Which is honestly the sort of flagship thing that we do, and it's doing really well as well. So I appreciate everyone who joins us on that. And so yeah, like. That's basically setting this up. It's expensive to set an office up because you have to buy, desks, computers, all of the monitors,
trash cans, fire extinguishers, all this shit.
Just, and then for the podcast thing, you need a table, you need backgrounds, you need.
Oh my god, this is so banal. Jesus.
You've got to spend money setting this up. So I'd spent about 40 grand setting this up, and so essentially Akila has just paid for the setup.
Have you added a brick in the building or something to memorialize her donation? Then you gotta call your break, Akila Hughes break room, memorial break room or something like that.
Yeah, no, I haven't. But I don't like gloating. Like I don't like gloating because I never wanted that lawsuit.
Of course, right.
I was just like, right, here's a kind of parody video that I'm doing in SJW to prove a point. And make the point, and I thought, that's nice and concise as well. And most people, I'm sure, are just like, oh, what a dick, I hate this guy, and just move on with their lives.
Right.
I mean, like 100,000 people saw the video, something like that, and it's like, okay,
and they forgot it the next day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
dumped on an SJW, get on with their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And instead, she took it really personally. It's like, okay. And I remember I emailed her in like 2016 saying, look, I know how this process works. I'm obviously familiar with the law in the US. And so you're
going to lose.
Yeah, and I told her this very politely. I was like, I know this works. I'm going to challenge this. You can't win this. By the way, your laws are. So let's just drop it. And then she fires back with a snarky email, and I'm like, okay, so here you are. You're, like back in 2016, I think this was. She didn't even call me a racist, right?
Right.
And now she's on Twitter screeching how I'm a white supremacist, and it's like, okay,
the judge is one too. The one that voted against her. Yeah.
Yeah. The judge is a white supremacist. I'm a white supremacist, and it's like, look, nobody's a white supremacist, you dick.
Yeah.
Like you were just wrong.
She was objectively wrong. Yeah.
Objectively wrong. And what I loved in the court case is like the judge obviously had watched some of my content to figure out what I'm about. He was like, he has obvious libertarian leanings. It's like, yeah, that's good enough.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's true. I want the government to leave me alone. That's really all I want. Just fuck off, government.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just hilarious. And the thing is, I found this really interesting because, like, in 2016, she's like, I'm not calling you a racist. And it's like, now she's just calling me a white supremacist. It's like, who's radicalized here? 4 years on Twitter and you've become a lunatic. I don't really think I've changed my opinions on, like, politics that much, really.
The only thing that's happened to me is I've softened.
I mean, you should know. I've been the same my whole life. No, I've always said I just want a perfect ethno-state. Britain for the British. Yeah. All right, here it is. I'm gonna go to normal speed. Here is the quartering with the confession.
A little bit on poking fun at a particular section of humanity, simply because it's how do I say, it's bad for business. There's one group of people, and you might be thinking it begins with J, but that's not what it.
Well, yeah, that's how you make it sound that way.
Okay, I'll just say.
No, I was not thinking that. I was not thinking that. Was not high on my list. I mean, that's weird. You have to be hanging out with some pretty deeply anti-Semitic friends on a regular basis to like even have that be like, well, obviously you're talking about the Jews, right? No? Why would you think that? What? Sargon, of course. Oh, it starts with a J, right? Ends with U's. Yes, I'm pretty sure you know the people I'm talking about. Yes, please, go on. Tell me more about them, yes.
Say, like, poking fun at like, radical trans stuff. Like, it's just not even fucking worth it. Like, look, hey, I'm happy for you. You do live your life just like a libertarian would. Just don't infringe on my rights. We're 100% aces. But, like, now it's like, all right, like, every time I would poke fun or even touch an issue like that, that's when I dealt with the most, like, insane people or copyright strikes and all this other stuff. So I just don't even cover it anymore. And people, you know, you can call me a pussy all you want. There's also, like, there's dying on a hill, and then there's like, okay, maybe this really isn't that important. And then,
so yeah, there it is. The Quarterine is now an ally, effectively, in his own words, because of the radical trans agenda that's been coming after him. Big trans, yeah. Nothing more powerful than the trans lobby. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you that for sure. For sure.
You know, just leave it be, you know.
The thing about the trans issue as well is I don't really think it's sustainable. Like
of course it's not. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. So, like, I mean, like, there was a lawsuit.
What does that mean? Like, why are they talking about this like it's a phase? Like given enough time, it's not going to be like in vogue anymore. Oh yes, never a more popular time to be trans, I would say. Yeah, it certainly makes all the children very popular in the playgrounds and the schools, playing in the sports teams and what have you. It certainly makes their lives easier from the get-go. Oh yes, all right.
In Britain, that happened about 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, something like that. I can't remember the name of the lady involved, but basically when she was 16, she was, again, it's a kind of grooming where it's like all of the people around you saying, oh yeah, it's so good that you're trans. And so this 16-year-old girl is just like, oh, okay, well then I'll become trans. And so they end up taking hormones, which themselves are untested and dangerous, and ended up getting...
Untested, you say? Yeah, there's definitely no one who's ever been tested for hormone use. Definitely not cis people. Definitely not years and years of using hormones on cis people for a variety of reasons. Definitely not a widely known or accepted facet of science. Definitely. Yeah, I guess yeah. Yeah, our bigotry isn't sustainable. That's a really good way of putting it though at the end of the day, right? Like he's straight up confessing that the whole thing is just being done because like he doesn't want trans people coming after him anymore, and it's not profitable when all his videos get demonetized all of a sudden for being bigotry. Like, strange that, odd that. It's almost as if the Overton window has shifted, you know? It's almost as if people are like waking up to all these issues, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm just being left behind.
A double
mastectomy?
Mastectomy, that's it.
Yeah,
and so has had her breasts removed.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we've heard enough. I think we've seen enough. This is where it's at. And I just want to point this out for the important fact that don't buy into what Jeremy is selling, and especially because a lot of other people are going to start selling this. I predict this is going to be perhaps the next wave, because that's what happens. The same thing happened to the gay community, okay? For a long time, gay people were ostracized. They were ostracized publicly. They were ostracized privately. They were ostracized in media. They were ostracized in television. It was completely fine with being homophobic. Homophobia was so interwoven that the most popular people of that area, even ones who were beloved, and even people who were supposed to be friends or were friends to the gay community, like someone like Eddie Murphy, for example. Watch Eddie Murphy's Delirious. Like, listen to the way he speaks about gay people in that special. And that's considered, you know, to be someone who was very progressive for the time period, for example. So anyways, if it's going to get to a point where people like Jeremy, people like Sargon of Akkad, whoever it is, if they're going to start coming out and saying, well, at the end of the day, now we're actively allies of the trans community, and we're going to work towards bettering ourselves, well, then you got to fucking show it. You got to, like, I'm not saying restorative justice doesn't exist, But like you haven't even shown the first thing towards admitting you had a problem. You're actively misgendering Abigail in this video, actively doing it while you're talking about these issues, and then admitting at the very end that the whole reason is because you don't want your videos to be flagged, affected by ad revenue, affected by big trans, of course, which is coming for you and coming for all of us. It's only a matter of time before they come for me, and then they come for you.
Hey, do you like movies? Do you like Serfs? Do you want movies and Serfs watching the movies? So then come over to the new channels. It's the Serfs Cinema. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Can you do the thing, that thumbs up and comment and all those things that help us out in the algorithm that controls every aspect of our lives? Also, if you happen to have a Facebook account, can you delete it? Like just delete it. You should probably delete your Facebook account because it's not a great company. But hey, if you can't do that for whatever reason, I understand. And could you also go to facebook.com/thesurftimes then and give us a little like and a follow. We're just trying to push back against the fact that people like Ben Shapiro happen to dominate the platform entirely. And when everyone asks why do older generations believe the things they believe, one of the problems is the majority of them on social media use Facebook. So to counter that, we're just going to be on there too now. Also, if you happen to have a union or a worker co-op or even a leftist project, podcast, website, Zoom, MySpace, it doesn't matter. We will advertise it for free on this channel. All you got to do is go to weareserfs.com and use the forms that we got there, weareserfs.com. Thanks, everybody.
To our God, Xander Corvus, we shall build ornate temples in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, and the Tim Caucus, we aim to be the best court jesters your money can buy. To our lords, Evan Nudie, Trevor R., Alexander Thaler, Ryan Lubin, Tofox, Jeff Lamb, Sint Forzi, we are your humble vassals, ready to till your land. To our Knights of the Round Table, Omni, Mr. Anderson, Riley and Anna, Ryan Craig, Multimondi, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophoja, Saren 42, Chronic to Hemphog, The Great Houdini, Bowen Jenny, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Jay Fraser Cartwright, Jimmy Bignuts, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Yopi, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, Todd Lajeunesse, Constance Joyce Lacheris. We raise our glass of mead and we salute you.